So hello, good morning, everyone. Happy Friday again for those that are joining us live. I know a lot of people registered for this, so I have no doubts that there'll be a few people tuning into the recording as well. So we're very pleased to have you with us again. It's our regular instalment of our Friday webinars that are seeing us all the way up until Christmas, believe it or not. We've got some really good topics coming up over the coming weeks and months, so keep your eyes peeled. For the same way that you've registered for this webinar, you can register to all of our future webinars as well. Bit of housekeeping before we get started. Our session usually runs for about 45 to 50 minutes, so feel free to use the chat function throughout as well and ask any questions, and I'm sure Phil will be happy to get those answered for you. So let's dive in and make the most of the hour together. So just briefly touching on who we are and what we're up to over at the Financial Planning Club. So the Financial Planning Club, if you are a business owner looking to elevate your business, our membership is specifically for individuals in that remit. So it includes everything from strategic planning to 90-day accountability sessions that ensure you stay focused and working towards your business goals and objectives. The community is free to all. It's hosted on WhatsApp. It's split into 5 separate specialisms, and that's all things about peer-to-peer technical support and upskilling. So it's a really cool place to hang out as well. So when we actually look at the club is a community of business owners at the forefront of financial planning firms. So everything is set around accountability. If you're looking to implement new ideas, if you have clear business plans and objectives, if you want to set ambitious goals and be surrounded by a supportive community that is on a similar journey, then grab some time with us and we'll be happy to explain a little bit more about how the club can fit in with your business and ambitions. That'd be great. This is a really cool tool. So this is actually being taken and received very well at the moment. It's our scorecard. The scorecard identifies areas of your business that might need a little bit more attention. It's always important that we do these exercises. We very much do it on our business. It's just, look, we all focus so much time working in our business and not enough time working on our business. And a little tool like this is just a 3 or 4 minute questionnaire that will identify any areas of your business that might need a little bit more focus. So we'll get that emailed out to all of the attendees and people that registered as well. So feel free to jump in and rate and scorecard your business. So if we look at the community side of things, so this is where it all began for us about 2 years ago now. We started to bring the professions together in separate communities. So that's financial advisors, mortgage advisors, power planners, ops managers. We've got separate study groups. We've got business owners. So they're all into separate groups depending on their profession. People love being a part of something and love getting ideas from other people who do the exact same job as them. Believe it or not, and without a doubt, someone in the group has been there, done it, got the t-shirt, and they're more than happy to share their findings with you as well. So if you are ever stuck on something, trust me, you're not alone. Somebody else is probably stuck on it, and no doubt somebody's already done it and come out the other side. So the communities are a really good place to be a part of. If you're not involved, ask yourself why not. Drop us a message and we'll add you to the relevant groups. But it is all about our webinars, our podcasts. It is about the study groups. You do get exclusive discounts as well. And it is all about bringing new ideas to the table. Collaborators, we absolutely couldn't do what we do without our wonderful collaborators. So from platforms to compliance, from recruitment to training, from website and marketing to mystery shoppers, every one of our collaborators plays a huge part in our club members' journey and are committed to driving the industry forward. So again, a big thank you to all of our collaborators. Just as to what's coming up and what's next, so next week, same time, 10 o'clock on Friday, the 29th of November, we have the amazing Octopus Money and Open Door Policy joining us. So there was a survey that came out that told us 55% of advice firms have disengaged with lower asset clients. There is absolutely a solution and a service for these clients. And we're going to show you a little bit more about that next week. The following week, as we come into December, believe it or not, where has this year gone? It is flying, but the guys from Ways Trustees are talking all things inheritance tax planning in a post-budget landscape. So that's really cool. That's really exciting. We've had a lot of people sign up for these webinars as well. So there's a lot of interest. It's very topical at the moment, which is great. That's enough of us. Let's talk about Phil. So I do have a big write-up here on Phil, how amazing he is, but sometimes less is more. And last night, the Yardstick agency won the best business marketing and promotion service to advisors in 2024. So all of the hard work is finally paying off. And I know we spoke about this a little while ago, Phil, and a lot of the work you've done, your clients have won awards for. But it's now nice that you've got that recognition. You've won that award yourself. You had a bit of a late night last night, but you've said you're going to be top form 100% today. So congrats, mate, and well done again.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Anytime. So, Phil, over to you. Let's talk all things marketing horror stories.
Right. So I need to share my screen. Let me share. That won't do that. Right. Can you see my screen now?
I can absolutely see it.
Brilliant.
Just need the full screen.
Is that good?
There we go. We're in.
Right. Okay. Thank you for that. Appreciate the intro. Right. So 10 real life marketing horror stories that'll damage your brand, your marketing, and your bottom line. So these are mistakes that we've seen financial advice, planning, and other businesses make over the past 7.5 years that Yardstick have been going. So we're going to dive straight in. And the first one of these is putting the FCA logo, using the FCA logo in your marketing and on your website. Now, whilst it's tempting to do it, because it's a good thing to reassure consumers who might be nervous, distrustful, and skeptical of financial advisors and planners, that you are regulated. And what better way of showing that than putting the FCA logo on your website? Yeah, it's a mark of approval, it's a stamp of authority and a stamp of approval. But you're not allowed to do it. You're absolutely not allowed to do it.
Oh, interesting.
So there is, just Google use of the FCA logo, and it brings up a document that says you cannot use the FCA logo in your marketing without permission. And clearly nobody gets permission from the FCA to use the logo on their website and in their marketing. And it's a good indicator, actually, of whether the marketing agency, freelancer or partner that you are working with understands the sector.
Right.
We had a case relatively recently where a financial planning firm, can you believe this? They used a different company to build their website. They came back and said, actually, we're not that happy with it. Can you review it, Yardstick? And the first thing we saw was that the FCA logo had been slapped on the homepage. You can't do it.
Right.
You just cannot do it. So unless you want the FCA calling you, coming and knocking at your door, do not put the FCA logo on your website because it will get you into trouble. That's the first of today's horror stories.
Is it that accreditation that people are looking for? They just obviously feel like they need to put a little bit of a stamp on it, because obviously at the bottom of the websites it always states that, you know, their regulatory permissions and, you know, their FRN number. So obviously that's quite mandatory, isn't it? Or is it not? Or to have that displayed on a website?
Yeah, you absolutely need to have your regulatory and statutory declarations on the foot of your website. And as I said, I can see why people should put the FCA logo on and why some marketers suggest putting the FCA logo on, because it will provide reassurance to some more nervous prospects that the firm that they potentially are working with are suitably authorized. But you just can't do it. Right. There are far better ways of demonstrating the value you add and trying to reduce people's level of nervousness about using a financial advisor than the FCA logo anyway, but you just can't do it.
Is there any particular reason why, Phil? Is there any particular reason why the FCA have said you're not allowed to use our logo on your website?
Mate, the FCA rules are well above my pay grade.
Fair enough.
Number two. Moving on to number two. Right. responding inappropriately to online reviews. So we talk a lot with advice and planning firms and other businesses. We've got some people in here who supply services to financial advisors and planners. We talk a lot about social proof. And there's plenty of research that shows online ratings and reviews, and I'm talking Google and vouched for now. Google for all businesses, Google and vouched for financial advisors and planners. There's so much evidence to show the value of having online reviews.
Yeah.
However, there are times when a business, fairly or unfairly, might get a negative review. So it might be on Google, it might be on vouched for, and you, Lee, as a recruiter, will know the hazards of Glassdoor.
Yeah.
So what do we do when that happens? If you're a business owner and you get a negative review, you've got three choices. You ignore it, you react to it, or you respond to it. Excuse me, I've got a bad voice.
What, do you have a late night or something, Phil?
So you've got those three choices. You ignore it, you react to it, or you respond to it. Now, a lot of advice and planning firms and business owners will ignore the reviews.
Okay.
So, for example, we were talking to a firm in the south of England a couple of weeks ago. They've got 40 odd Google reviews, but the last two have not been perfect. One was a 1-star, I think one was a 3-star. So the last two Google reviews they had were not great.
Right.
And they haven't replied to them. They've just ignored them. So when somebody Googles this business, who will remain nameless, perhaps because they've been recommended by an existing client, an accountant, or a solicitor, the first thing they see is negative.
Yeah.
So that means the firm is already on the back foot. So ignoring these negative reviews is not the right way to go. Equally, reacting, ranting on the keyboard in response to a negative review is not the way to go.
Mm.
The right thing to do is respond to negative reviews and get the review, sit down calmly. It's not always easy, but calmly think about, does this person have a point? In which case, acknowledge it, apologize, explain what you did to sort it out, and move on, whilst also providing proof that the service level experienced by the reviewer is not indicative of the overall service experience that all clients receive. If the reviewer is incorrect, then you need to point that out away and just talk about two sides of the story. Also, it's worth looking on Google, vouched for, and Glassdoor whether the reviewer has broken the terms and conditions, the policies of the platform, and whether there is any grounds for getting the review removed. I saw one recently on a platform where the reviewer had used very inappropriate language and therefore had broken the terms and conditions of the platform, and we got the review taken down.
Good.
So my second nightmare, whilst online reviews are incredibly important, a negative review can be an occupational hazard.
Yeah.
Do not ignore, do not react, respond, but respond appropriately.
Makes sense. Yeah, makes sense. But it's so easy to do the first two, right?
Yes, yeah, it absolutely is. But do the right thing here, not the easy thing.
Yeah, yeah. I suppose the best thing to do is maybe sleep on it sometimes. Don't react right away. Don't maybe ignore it for 24 hours, but you have to respond, right?
You absolutely do have to respond. Sometimes better to get a third party to write your response. So we had one recently for a financial planning firm, the negative review. There was actually one on Google and one on vouched for. And I asked the financial advisor who was involved just to provide me some notes about what had happened, a bit of background, and I wrote the reply for him. Nice. Because it's easy. I've got a bit of distance.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not so emotionally invested.
Yeah.
So as I say, don't ignore it, don't react, but respond.
Yep. Yep, makes sense.
Number 3, right, running webinars as meetings. So we're all in a webinar right now.
Oh, what have I done wrong? Here we go.
You've done nothing wrong, mate. You've set it up perfectly. You're a pro. So, running webinars as meetings. This is a real problem sometimes. At the moment, you can see me. I can see you. Everyone who's attending can see me and you.
Yep.
But nobody can turn their mic on, turn their camera on, or share their screen. The worst somebody can do is put something in the chat and say, Phil, you're talking complete rubbish.
Yeah.
However, we have seen some firms try and run webinars, so promoting the webinars to clients, prospects, professional connections, and the public, and running them, though, as meetings.
Right.
So they haven't used the webinar functionality in Zoom. They've just set it up as a large meeting.
Yeah.
Now, in a meeting with Zoom, delegates and people attending the meeting can turn their mic on, can share their camera, and can share their screens.
Right. Yeah.
That is a dangerous combination when
Yeah.
you do not know who is coming into your webinar if you have shared the link publicly.
Yeah.
Just imagine the potential consequences.
I mean, look, I had a huge fear then that everybody was going to put your theory to the test and try and turn their cameras on, and then have the realization that maybe I haven't put the correct settings on. Then all of a sudden, everybody's faces start appearing. So, thank you if you haven't tried to do it, and thankfully, the settings have been.
Well, you can't do it. That's the point, Lee. If we set it up as a webinar on Zoom, you can't do that. You can't have the functionality. As much as I'd love to see the smiling faces every morning, everybody else on it.
That's more of a round table vibe, right? You probably want something a little bit more smaller, a bit more intimate for that. That's a round table vibe, right? But yeah, you wouldn't just share an open link for anybody to join your meeting that can come in and do whatever.
But some advisors have done it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Some advisors have done it and experienced the consequences.
Wow.
So you just imagine the worst thing somebody could share on a screen.
Yeah. Oh, I bet. Yeah, I bet. Yeah, and the panic on their face as they try to revoke permission.
Yes. Yes. So, dead simple, to avoid this particular nightmare, if you are running webinars and you're not doing that round table vibe that you talked about, if you're running webinars, do it as a proper webinar in Zoom, buy your Zoom personal subscription, and then buy the webinar bolt-on. Yeah. So important that you do it this way.
Yeah, makes sense.
Number four, not updating your blog. Now, this applies to every person on this webinar, every advisor, every planner, every business owner. So a blog has many, many benefits. It means that it looks as though your website is updated on a regular basis. It can help your SEO. It demonstrates your knowledge. It positions you as an expert. It adds value to your audience. It gives you content that you can push out on social media, and it gives you content you can repurpose into videos, webinars, etc., etc. So a blog has huge benefits, providing it is updated on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So I was on an advisor's website a couple of weeks ago as I was writing a marketing strategy for a firm that were local to them. Their blog had last been updated in 2018.
I've seen something similar. I've seen it. Everybody starts off with a good intention, don't they? Let's start a blog page, and they start getting creative, start getting loads of content, but then it just gets taken away from them sometimes, isn't it? It's finding that time to continue to do it. And you're so right, because I've been on many websites, and we probably had it a bit ourselves, you know, where you get into a little bit of a rhythm of doing all your blogs, and all of a sudden you fall off the wagon a little bit, don't you?
Yeah, you do. And producing content is an integral part, or should be an integral part, of almost every business's marketing strategy. And content doesn't have to be blogs, but that's what we're talking about here. Producing content should be an integral part of most people's strategy, as should the promotion of it. Some people get the balance between content production and content promotion wrong. But just at a very, very simple level, if your blog on your website, and I use the example of 2018 because it was the latest one I saw, if your blog on your website has not been updated since 2018 or has not been updated for the last 3 months, yeah, take it down. Yeah,
Oh, really?
yeah, take it down.
Get rid of it.
Just it looks amateurish.
Yeah.
Yeah, it defeats the object. Or if you don't want to take it down, find the time and the motivation to write, or frankly, outsource to a firm like us. We are an agency in this space, but there are plenty of other agencies in this space. There are plenty of other freelancers in this space. But if you want content and you want a blog, make sure it is updated on a regular basis. Otherwise, you don't get the benefits. So you've got the opportunity cost, but there's a risk that actually it impacts your business and your brand.
Yeah, makes sense. We've got a question. Are we saying it's better to have nothing than old materials?
Are we saying it's better to have nothing than old materials? So I don't think, depends on the type of material, I think. Yeah. I think people expect blogs. Yeah, if you've got a blog page on a website,
Yeah.
go and look at Yardsticks. Sure, you guys have got the same. If you've got a blog page on a website, and the last thing that was added into it was, I don't know, the budget from 2019, if you're a financial advisor, it just looks really, really poor.
Yeah.
Or if your latest investment update was during the COVID crisis, it looks really, really poor.
Yeah.
So I think from a blog perspective, yes, we've got to keep that topped up. In terms of old materials, depends on your definition of old, I guess, but there's nothing wrong with having evergreen content. So, for example, we wrote a blog last Friday about why price was the wrong determinant to choose who should build a website, because we've seen people pay too much and too little. We're going to turn that into a guide. We're going to turn that into a checklist. So those for me are evergreen pieces of content that will be valid in 2, 3, 4, 5 years' time.
Yeah.
So old materials are fine, provided they're still relevant. What I'm saying here is if you've got a blog page on your website, keep the thing up to date.
Yeah, makes sense.
Right. Number five. Broken email personalization. So this is one where I need to find some wood to touch, largely because this can befall anybody. But when it does, it can create some significant issues. So we all know that the personalization of emails increases engagement rates. So if we put in the subject line of the email, hi, Michelle, think you're like this, or George saw this and thought of you, that will increase the open rate. If the blog says, or the email says, dear Callum, dear Amanda, that will increase engagement rates. We know the personalization of emails increases engagement rates. So pretty straightforward. However, the opposite happens if your mail merge fails.
Yeah.
So if your mail merge fails and you get an email through saying, dear first name, yeah, or dear insert name, or dear salutation, or something like that, yeah, that's going to damage your brand.
Yeah.
It's really simple.
Yeah.
So you go massively from an opportunity to increase engagement to actually a negative black mark against your brand. So what we're saying here is, yes, try and personalize emails. And I'm talking about mail merge here, not one of you. Yes, try and personalize emails, but make sure it works properly. Yeah.
Test email.
Say again?
Just test it.
Yeah.
Yeah, test it.
Test it. Make sure your data is right.
Yeah.
Make sure you're matching the data fields correctly.
Yeah.
And make sure as well that the salutation, the first name that you use is actually the name that you use.
Yeah.
So if my mum, for example, on IO or on the back office system of her financial advisor, her first name would be down as Susan, because that's her first name that she was given at birth. But actually the name she goes by is Jane. So
Okay.
if you had set the mail merge up, taken it from IO, taken the data and just blindly uploading it,
Yeah.
my mum would have got an email, "Dear Susan." Yeah. She
Yeah.
would not have thanked you for that. She probably
No.
won't thank you for mentioning that in public on a webinar, to be fair. But if you change it to "Dear Jane,"
Yeah.
you've just increased the likelihood that she will open and respond to that. So make sure your mail mergers work, accepting that there's an opportunity here to improve engagement. Test it, test it, test it, and make sure we're using the correct names.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, absolutely makes sense.
And we're
It's the
all,
same with the Thomases and everything else. People do prefer to be called Tom, for example, and it is that most commonly used name. It's a bit more personal, isn't it? Really?
yeah, if somebody emails me and says, "Dear Philip, I think I've done something wrong."
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I had an email not so long ago where it said "Dear first name," and then underneath said "Only jokingly, but I've got your attention now." So they use it in a comical way.
Yeah, and to be fair, that's quite clever.
Yeah,
You probably can only do it once.
exactly. Yeah,
But yeah, no, that is quite nice.
you can
And
have
that is
you
a
can have
nice
that
little
one,
play
Phil.
on it.
I'll keep an eye out for your next mail shot.
Right, number 6, scheduled messages. Right, okay. So what I'm talking about here is scheduled social media messages. Now, scheduling tools such as Hootsuite, SmarterQueue, or indeed the native scheduling tools in social media platforms can be incredibly useful.
Yeah,
One of the things that helps us all be more consistent on social media is finding time to go and write,
yeah,
and then finding time to go and then schedule those posts. So for me, for example, I will sit, generally speaking, on Saturday morning and write my LinkedIn posts for the following week. I'll then schedule them. And we use SmarterQueue generally to schedule posts. That works brilliantly. It means I can sit down, quiet time, write my posts, get them scheduled, job done for the week. Works brilliantly. However, it works brilliantly until it doesn't work.
right.
Scheduling can be great until it isn't. And the time when it isn't is when there is a significant event happening in the wider world that means that a shared social media feed is filled up of posts about that event, and your scheduled posts just look incongruous or insensitive
Yeah,
in the context of that event.
yeah,
So think back a couple of years ago when the Queen passed away. Social media that the afternoon, it's about 6:30 at night, I think, from memory, when there was an announcement, and social media was full of the news, tributes to the Queen, etc. And social posts, scheduled posts, I should say, stuck out a mile.
I bet. Yeah,
Someone promoting their services, promoting their blog, etc., just stood out an absolute mile. So what I'm saying here again, and a lot of these things, these nightmares, are opportunities actually that can turn into a nightmare if we get them wrong. And this schedule posts on social media is certainly one of them. If you're going to use scheduling, which is a really powerful tool, just make sure that if something really negative in the world happens, you go in and turn your schedule posts off or reschedule them for another time.
it used to be a thing, probably not so long ago, where social media platforms would prefer organic posting opposed to using Hootsuite, Buffer, and some of the other sort of providers that enable you to schedule. But now most of these platforms have got their own built-in scheduling tool, haven't they? So I suppose that's maybe eliminated that quite a bit. Quick one.
Yeah, I've seen a few people talk about whether scheduled posts actually get less engagement, but there are so many other variables about each post. The quality of the post, the day, the time, the media, the image, the videos, etc., that we used alongside it. There are so many other variables for each post. I wonder how easy or hard it is to prove that actually the fact it was scheduled and sent via Hootsuite, SmarterQueue, and any of the others actually impacted on the level of engagement. I'm a bit skeptical about that. You see a lot of people on these social media platforms saying that they've hacked the algorithm. They suddenly have got a deep understanding of the algorithm, and they may well have.
Yeah.
But I've not seen any conclusive evidence or anything approaching conclusive evidence to say that scheduling actually damages your engagement.
Are you a firm, but I say still, I don't know if you ever was, but we're quite a firm believer when it comes to social media that any link needs to be put in the comment section opposed to actually in the post, because again, algorithms see it as you're trying to divert traffic away from their platform. So they actually bring your post lower down or to give it less exposure for that reason.
Yeah, I would agree. If you're putting a link, the aim of your post is to get people to come out off the platform. Let's take LinkedIn, for example, come out off the platform onto your blog. Then LinkedIn doesn't like that.
No.
Wants to keep people on the platform. Very obviously, rightly so. So if you're going to put a link in, then yes, I would put it in the comments. Yeah, big fan of that. Having said that, I'm equally a big fan of no-click social posts.
Yeah.
So there has been in the past a school of thought that we need to get everybody from Facebook, Instagram, X, LinkedIn, wherever, from those platforms onto my website. I don't think that's true.
No.
I don't think that's a great measure of success.
No, yeah.
And I would much rather get a significant amount of engagement on LinkedIn for a post that doesn't have a link out than I would a couple of clicks out to my website.
100%.
And therefore, we need to mix this up and probably be favouring no-click posts on LinkedIn, for example, rather than trying to push people out.
Mm.
Having said that, there are still times where you want to promote your blog, and therefore you'll need to link out.
Of course, yeah. It's just a balancing act, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is. I absolutely think it is, and a recognition of what are the right metrics to be measuring.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also what you want to achieve from the platform and what you want to achieve from each post.
Yeah.
It's absolutely possible to build your reputation as a subject matter domain expert on a social platform without having to link out to your website.
Mm. Yep.
So, number 7. Here we go. Inappropriate social media posts. So, your social media posts, this is general, it's not just aimed at you, mate.
Yeah.
Your social media posts are your personal brand.
Yeah.
And perception is reality. So you've got to tread really carefully unless you do not care. Yeah, if you don't care, then we can move on to it. Right?
Yeah.
But we can all think of people in the financial services community who on different social media platforms can be quite confrontational, quite argumentative, even rude. And that online presence, that online brand becomes their personal brand. It's what you think about them.
Mm.
So I was chatting to somebody at the awards last night, and his principle was to elevate the financial services profession through everything he does. We ran a webinar on Wednesday with Joe Glover from the Marketing Meetup group and podcast. And one of his strap lines is being positively lovely. Really like that. Positively lovely. And everything he's trying to do, one of his personal values, is to elevate other people.
Okay.
And you can see it. You can see it from his social presence and from him personally. You can just see it. Equally, if somebody is as I say, confrontational, negative, argumentative, rude on social, you don't then think, oh, let's give them a go when I meet them face to face. You think that's what they're going to be like when it's face to face.
Yeah.
So perception is reality. And I mean, if you don't care, don't worry about this stuff. But if you do care, just think about how what you put on social media is perceived by other people, your peers, your clients, your professional connections, and your potential clients.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree. It's very easy to damage your reputation, isn't it? And it's so hard to build it back up. So you do have to be careful. It's it is all about personality as well, isn't it? You know, and it is about being a little bit controversial, and it's always about having your own opinion, but you do have to do so in the correct manner, right?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think there is nothing. No, sorry. You absolutely should be authentic,
Yeah,
but that doesn't mean you have to be rude, confrontational, impolite,
yeah,
etc. You can have a conversation with people. You can have a debate with people. The Rest is Politics podcast. Alistair Stewart, Rory Stewart, Alistair Campbell. What's their catchphrase? Disagree agreeably. I think that's the way to go.
yeah, 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 absolutely.
Okay, number 8. Stealing blog content and images.
Oh, who would do such a thing?
Right, so I've seen this.
Have you really? Has it
I've,
been your content?
I've absolutely seen this. Not our content, but content we have written for other advice.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. So I can think of a financial planner we wrote content for based in the West Midlands, and another financial planner up in Scotland literally copied and pasted their content and put it on their website.
What is stopping people from doing this?
Decency,
apart
sense
from
of
decency
fairness.
and moral, yeah. Apart from all of the above, right? But this guy's probably thinking, I'm in Scotland. How are they gonna? They're in West Midlands or Midlands or whatever, you know. So
Yeah,
I
completely
can't
agree.
believe it happens. I can absolutely believe stuff like that happens.
Literally, they had copied and pasted it. They changed a few words because they were in Scotland rather than Wolverhampton. But it absolutely happens. It's rare. Yeah, it's rare.
I could imagine.
And I've seen other firms where B2B, in the B2B space, where the one firm has stolen the content from the websites. So the first example was blogs. In the B2B space, I've seen it on sort of pillar website pages. And just don't do it. Yeah, it might be tempting, but just don't do it, and either write this content yourself or pay somebody else to do it. I've also seen it with images where someone has needed an image to support a blog post or a social media post. They've typed a description into Google, and then they've gone to Google Images, right-clicked, save image as, and then popped it on their social, popped it on their blog or their website.
Yeah.
If you do that, you are infringing the copyright of the person, the photographer who took the picture. And there are companies out there, some of them more legitimate than others, who photographers use to chase up these infringements on their copyright.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So if you're going to have an image, and images are incredibly useful, incredibly important to improve engagement on blogs and social posts, etc. Either take one yourself, use AI, although they're a bit strange.
They never get the wording right, do they, AI?
People don't edit it. People don't edit it. Why not, anyway?
Yeah.
Or go to a royalty-free stock image website.
Yeah.
And you can get beautiful stock images. You can get cliched stock images. Unsplash is good. Shutterstock is good. Buy a little subscription and then choose your images from there. I mean, Unsplash subscription, something like 100 quid a year.
Yeah.
Look it up, but it's something like that. It's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. So don't steal other people's blog content. Don't steal other people's images. It's morally the wrong thing to do, and actually will probably cost you money in the long run, because the original author, the original photographer will probably find out and will come to you and expect compensation. And if you use an image without permission, I've seen that compensation, especially if a larger organization is involved, be a couple of £1,000.
Really?
Yeah, just for the sake of an Unsplash subscription, Shutterstock subscription, or somewhere else like that.
Is it not on first instance? Do us a favour, take that down. That's not your image.
Um,
Or is it just straight up not having that?
Give it a go, mate, and see what happens.
No, I'll leave that to someone else.
Generally speaking, in the first instance, even if it is a genuine mistake.
Yeah.
And I done it once. It was a genuine mistake, a long time ago. They will negotiate.
Yeah.
But even then, I got it down to about 400 quid.
Really?
You just got to suck it up.
Yeah.
So, like I said, from the moral angle, don't do it. And from a cash in your pocket perspective, don't do it.
Yep. Makes sense.
Number 9. Now, this really winds me up.
Go on.
Linking Google Ads to the homepage of your website.
Okay.
So, Google Ads. We've all seen Google Ads. Search term on Google, top 4 positions are ads, and then there's some ads down the bottom. And at this point, you normally get somebody shouting up saying, I never click the ads don't work. Well, Google makes a few billion quid a year off ads, so let's assume that they work. And sometimes we see financial advisors, planners, and business owners set Google Ads up themselves. They'll write the ad and they'll just link it through to the homepage of their website. In which case, someone will click the ad and then has to do a whole lot of work on the homepage of their website to find what they want, etc.
Yeah.
We've also seen some freelancers, some agencies do this as well and make this mistake as well.
Right.
Now, if you're doing a DIY job, you can kind of forgive someone making that mistake. If it's an agency or a freelancer, you absolutely cannot. It's an unforgivable mistake. And the problem you've got is that the cost of the click then lands on the advisor, the planner, or the business owner, and the cost of a click from Google can be quid, 5 quid, 10 quid. Then the consumer's got to do all the hard work of wandering around the website, working out where they want to click, etc. Plus, the person who set up the ad has got no clue if a contact form comes in or an email or a phone call that lead originated from the Google ad.
Where
So
it comes from, right? Yeah.
You've got no attribution. You can't work out the return on investment. So fewer people are likely to take the call to action if we do it this way. And you can't work out when they do and can't work out your return on investment. So it's a really bad idea. But as I say, DIY Google adders, freelancers and agencies still do this stuff.
Yeah.
It's far better to set your Google ad up and then push people through to a specific landing page that is linked to the text of the advert.
To the keywords, right?
Not so much keywords, because this is an advert. We're talking about adverts
yeah.
SEO.
Okay.
But you do need to make sure that the words in the ad are replicated on the website, just because on the landing page, just because we need to make sure that people who click the ad know that they're on the right landing page.
Yep.
And the landing page should talk about the problem that somebody is looking to solve, the aspiration that that person is looking to achieve. It should position the firm as the expert, and there should be a socking great call to action on the page. You know, a form that you want people to take.
Yeah.
Etc. Whereas if you do it to a landing page, as I say, you've got all those issues. So this is another one where we're looking at a sort of two sides of the same coin: opportunity and threat. The opportunity here with Google Ads is to produce a steady stream of inquiries where you can calculate the return on investment and you can see attribution. That's the opportunity. Threat, the nightmare, is that you burn through budget, you see an increase in your website traffic, but you don't see an increase in leads. So if anybody tells you to link your Google Ads to the homepage of your website, 99.9 times out of 100 is the wrong thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Number 10, lying about your accreditation. Now, I have seen some firms do this. Not often, but I have seen some firms do this, where they have said, oh, we have chartered financial planners in the business. That's the same as being a chartered firm. No, it's not.
No, okay,
No,
yeah.
it's not. I've seen other firms make more innocent mistakes where they might have a chartered financial planner in the business and therefore decide to use the chartered logo on the homepage of their website next to that logo. You can't do that. Yeah, it needs to be used next to the individual financial planner.
Right.
So don't do it.
Yeah.
Awards, accreditations, qualifications, press mentions, that sort of stuff are brand amplifiers, as Lee Robertson from Octo once told me. It's a great description. They're brand amplifiers. But the opposite is true if you get found using them inappropriately.
Yeah.
Or telling barefaced lies about your awards, accreditations, etc. And you will get caught. I've seen firms do this. They're in the tiny, tiny minority, but I've seen firms do this. Nobody on this call, nobody on this watching this back would do it, I'm sure. But it is an important lesson just to make sure that when you are using accreditations, qualifications, this sort of stuff on your website and in your marketing, you use them correctly. Yeah, you use them correctly. And it's not easy necessarily to see the difference between the chartered firm logo and the individual chartered logo. Literally, the only difference is a little S. And I can see why some people get confused. I cannot see why some people think it's acceptable to lie about their accreditations.
No. So what about an award that's been won, say, 5 years ago? Are we leaving it on there, or are we past that, bring it down?
I think if it is, let's say a firm won an award in 2019 and they haven't entered it since, or if they have entered it since they haven't won, then yeah, I would take that down. I would absolutely take that down. But let's say a firm, New Model Advisor, top 100, they announced their top 100 list. Was it last week or the week before? One of the two. Yeah. If we've got a firm who has entered and been included on the list for the last 5 years, I would be mentioning that. That they've been in there for the last 5 years, because that consistency breeds confidence in people. So if someone has entered an award and won it or been shortlisted on a regular basis, put them all on. If it was historical and you've not entered, won or been shortlisted since, take it down.
Yeah. It makes sense, doesn't it?
And there we have it.
There we have it.
10 nightmares that will actually damage your brand, cost you money, and hurt your bottom line. Don't do any of them, but instead focus on the opportunity from doing each of them correctly.
Well, I thoroughly enjoyed that. I thought there was a lot of takeaways in there. And I think if somebody is just looking to sit down and evaluate their marketing strategy, I think you've provided 10 very clear, points that they should be taking a lot of time and attention to.
Thank you. Appreciate the feedback there. And if anybody wants to talk to us about any of this stuff, there's my contact details.
Absolutely. And likewise, we'll get an email around and share Phil's contact details as well. So please feel free to get in touch, reach out and have a conversation. As always, it is always a pleasure. Phil, thank you so much for your time. Everybody have a lovely weekend. And don't forget, we're back next week, same time, 10 a.m. Register on the website and have a lovely weekend, everybody.
Thank you. Enjoyed that. See you soon, everybody.
Cheers, Phil. Thanks, mate.